Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. Welcome to part 3, everyone. If you're still with me, this video may be where I begin to lose some of you, but please bear in mind that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. All commentary within this video is my opinion. This is where it's going to get interesting, but this is an avenue that until now, I didn't think was necessary to explore. Call me naive, but I just didn't believe that what we're about to talk about within this video was even a possibility. You can call it a conspiracy theory, you can call it whatever you want, but what I'm about to show you in the next few videos is going to make you question everything you thought you knew about the Nicola Bulley case. A lot of it blew my mind, and I debated on whether or not to bring any of this to your attention. But because photos don't lie, I feel that the content within the next couple of videos will, at the very least, prove that we have been lied to, that certain things have been staged. And if that's the case, then we need to question everything that we have been told and that we will be told. The entire spectacle took place in plain sight and was streamed across numerous social media platforms and other media distribution channels, with the police force televising their press conferences to beguile the audience. All of this is part of an act to control and manipulate the public into ways of thinking. But when I say thinking, what I mean is mind control, which is a booming industry in and of itself. Again, I have to tell you, this is entirely speculation and opinion. And as always, I'm going to give you the information and the evidence, and I'm going to leave it up to you to form your own opinion and to do your own research on the information that I have given you in order to come to your own conclusion. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. To all of my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support. I love you guys so much and appreciate you all so much. So let's get on with it then. In the past few months, we have talked about a lot of things, but one thing we have not gotten into on this channel is the possibility of, oh boy, you guys, hang on to your hats, the possibility of a psyop. Hold on, wait, stop, don't click off just yet. We haven't talked about that possibility because until very recently, I didn't believe that it was a possibility, personally. And let me tell you, I love a good conspiracy theory. However, it is usually not my first go-to when looking into a case. It is my final go-to when going down a rabbit hole of an investigation. And to be completely transparent with you, I am extremely new to this idea. And I don't really know what to think about it myself. But what I do know is that my mind has been completely blown, and you need to be prepared for yours to be as well. I have been saying for a while now that certain things appear to be staged. Things are just a little too coincidental. And for all of my viewers that have been watching me since before this case, know how I feel about coincidences. There are no coincidences, in my opinion. And when it comes to coincidences within an active investigation, to me, they're red flags. That's it. Now think back to the Lancashire police appeal for the woman in the red coat back in February 2nd, for example. What a farce. Just a sideshow to play mind games. We went over some of that in a prior video. Is it possible that their inspiration came from another woman in red from a 1999 movie designed to capture your attention?
Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
We've been lied to all of our lives, indoctrinated since birth, only to believe what we are told to believe. There is so much to unlearn, yet everything is hidden in plain sight. Unless you live under a rock, you've noticed that mainstream media outlets are all reading from the same script and advancing identical propaganda narratives. This is that mind control in action. Talking heads parroting the same unadulterated BS for the masses, routinely programming thoughts. Their drivel is often suitably dumbed down, using cliches like sources say, or experts say, or a study reveals. Day in and day out, the population is force-fed lies. Mainstream media has been so successful that very few see anything anymore, with most people fooled by every last bit of scripted garbage thrown at them. Perhaps by exposing this latest charade, maybe, just maybe, a few more can break free from the control that the media inflicts on behalf of their controllers. So let's take a look at the two primary mainstream media organizations who own the propaganda campaign surrounding the Nicola Bulley, dare I call it, psyop. Sky News, in this instance, acts as the junior partner to the big daddy of all disinformation giants, the world-beating BBC. Sky News is a part of Comcast Corporation with an annual revenue of $120 billion in 2022, with its two biggest shareholders being the Vanguard Group and BlackRock. Sky News had operational lead for the disinformation campaign on the ground, fronted up by news reporter Inzamam Rashid, backed up with Kay Burley. You remember these two. They were the ones that interviewed Ron. Inzamam Rashid has prior BBC experience, which was an ideal training ground to progress his career in deceiving the public. Via Sky News, he sowed maximum confusion throughout the 23 days of the search for Nicola Bulley and coordinated the timely release of news updates on Sunday, February 19th, including DSI Rebecca Smith's attendance on the scene and discovery of the body itself. In the meantime, other media outlets across the country were seamlessly coordinated to relay this fake news. The BBC needs no introduction. With influential supporters in all the right places, they continue to specialize manufacturing disinformation on a scale you couldn't even begin to imagine. This extends to creating the official role of the disinformation correspondent, Mariana Spring, to bolster the Ministry of Truth. Mariana Spring is ably supported in the Nicola Bulley project by BBC News reporter Nick Garnett, who played a small yet important part. For example, at the infamous police conference, February 15th, where he pitched a propaganda ball up for DSI Rebecca Smith to knock out of the park. The BBC doesn't get its hands dirty in small stuff. That's what Sky News is there for. So their role is everything that the theatrics around the contrived investigation serves up for them. With that being said, I trust some of you identified the BBC as purveyors of certain rabbit holes. The BBC deviously stamped in prominent capital letters, may I add, on the published still images captured from the Ring doorbell footage of Nicola Bulley leaving her home that Friday morning with her friend's name, who has more than a passing resemblance to Nicola herself. And we all know what happened with that footage. It is still being talked about to this day. Then there are icons of the BBC, such as Jeremy Vine, who accidentally slipped up live on air and referred to this as a murder case.
There's also been this issue now, which seems to have got out of hand, of people all around the country trying to solve this murder at home, so-called sleuthing from space, because they're using satellite photos and so on. People all around the country trying to solve this murder at home, rather than
the official missing person narrative. All BBC readers and Radio 2 listeners alike are pawns for their sick games, and they're played like a fiddle. Returning to Mariana Spring, while she appears to be one step removed, this is not the case at all. For instance, her tweet, as luck would have it, was published on Saturday, February 18th, the day before the body would be found. And you'll soon learn why this is significant, and that, as I've said prior, there are rarely coincidences in life, despite much conditioning to normalize coincidences as routine events these days. And last but not least, as a bonus, we have the popular This Morning TV show. which is a part of ITV. They provide a regular platform for international television host and journalist Ayla Trakar, who has been firmly embedded into the overall deception to deliver her scripted fictional nonsense.
To see her alive, one of the other dog walkers. And I asked him, I said, how was she? They had little exchanges. He was coming along the path about the dog being on the lead, etc. And he said she was fine. Now, I didn't specifically say, do you think she was under the influence of alcohol?
Ayla Trakar smoothly delivered her lines from St. Michael's on Wire itself, thus trying to imbue some authenticity, saying, quote, and they were overheard saying, there's definitely a body there. A helicopter was then scrambled, the road was sealed off, a police tent put up to provide privacy while they retrieved that body, unquote.
Buried in undergrowth, there's a fallen tree that's decaying, it's covered in reeds, and they were overheard saying, there's definitely a body there. A helicopter was then scrambled, the road was then sealed off, a police tent put up to provide privacy while they retrieved that body yesterday.
Let me just say, it would probably be wise not to believe a single word that comes out of that woman's mouth. Be warned, her poker face is much better than DSI Rebecca Smith by comparison. And need I remind you that during the press conference after Nicola's body was found, when their family liaison addressed the public, who were the two main entities that the family called out? It wasn't YouTube, it wasn't TikTok, it was Sky News and ITV.
To think that one day we will have to explain to them that the press misquoted and vilified friends and family. This is absolutely appalling. They have to be held accountable. This cannot happen to another family. Sky News and ITV making contact with us directly when we expressly asked for privacy. They again have taken it upon themselves to run stories about us, to sell papers and increase their own profits. It is shameful they have acted in this way. Leave us alone now. Do the press and other media channels and so-called professionals not know when to stop?
Just gonna throw that out there as a little side note. Back to the big picture. So the open air stage production took place on Sunday, February 19th. And the sheer gall of this sinister team who devised this theatrical production is astonishing. A production planned and scripted to deceive people, designed in the time-tested tradition of a beginning, middle, and end, which can only be summarized as Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1, alarm raised of a body in the river. Act 2, search for a body in the river. And Act 3, recovery of a body from the river. The scriptwriters, masters in the art of deception, meticulously offered up two opposing versions of events to capture your imagination. Because as I've said, division is the intent. Contrasting versions were designed to divide the public into those who believe that either A, Nicola Bulley had been in the river all along, and B, those who believe that she had been dumped recently by third parties. Yet, hold on one moment, as the common theme that runs through both directed narratives is the outright lie of there having ever been a fortuitous discovery of a body made in the first place. The truth of the matter is, the location just so happens to have been selected as the best spot to simulate and act out a discovery, search, and recovery of a body. Set away from too many prying eyes, it made the perfect stage and required only a few props to make it appear real enough for an audience that has repeatedly shown itself ready to believe anything that they are asked to believe. Many may have identified some of the deceitful aspects of this absurd masquerade, but virtually no one, it would appear, has realized the central deception upon which the remaining fraud is constructed. Now I'm about to drop a bombshell, but first you need to ask yourself whether or not you think that I'm a conspiracy theorist. Is Chris a conspiracy theorist? Also, ask yourself why. The powers that be do all they can to discredit and censor those that dare to venture beyond the sanctioned narratives toward revealing the unvarnished truth. A quote for you to ponder from Richard D. Hall, who is a genuine independent investigative journalist that strives to expose truth behind the usual orchestrated litany of lies, which is no wonder he's on the receiving end of a plot and a BBC investigation to comprehensively censor him for daring to expose well-organized shams. Quote, "Believe none of what you hear and only half of what you see," unquote. Try as they might, but regardless of coordinated mainstream media reporting that not one but two watchdogs have cleared Lancashire police of misconduct thus far, and the terms of reference of an independent external review having now been published as of May 4th, the truth will nevertheless prevail. Now that is all for right now. Please be on the lookout for part 4, and this is where I'm going to drop the bombshell. As always, thank you so much for listening and viewing. I'm giving you this information in a series for a reason. I can't simply put out a video of all the goods without explaining to you what led there. You guys need to be able to fully grasp what has really been going on in order to even attempt to consider that what happened here really happened, or that what I'm telling you happened here really happened. And I speak from experience because, as I said at the beginning, when I first learned of Chris's findings, my mind was blown completely off my neck. To be honest, it took me about 3 hours to find it and put it back on again. I ended up doing my own research and I started looking into some of these things. And I found more than enough evidence that certain things have been taking place right under our noses. And I'm not just talking about this case, I'm talking about in general. I think that is what is really important to grasp, is that even if you don't believe what I'm telling you about this case, that you at least do your own research and start looking into some of these other things and decide for yourself what to believe, instead of just taking what you are being told on mainstream media and just believing it. Anyway, you guys, please have a great rest of your week. Another video will be up as soon as possible. Please, everyone, be safe, be healthy, be happy, and most of all, be unapologetically you. Oh, one more thing. Speaking of being unapologetically you, please go easy in the comment section below. Please. Agreeing to disagree is one thing, but as adults, we should all know when to call it a day, right? There's no point in continuing to argue a point if the person that you're arguing with just doesn't agree with you. If you find yourself in this type of situation down in the comment section, I would encourage you to just leave it alone. I've said a million times, I don't remove comments unless they are harassing or bullying in some way. Therefore, I haven't removed any comments so far, but I can sense things are getting a little heated down in the comment section, and I don't want it to get to that phase, okay? So keep it classy down there. You can be you and get your point across without being an a-hole, okay? I will not allow mistreatment of each other on my channel. Everybody has a right to their own opinion. It's okay if you don't agree. Talk to you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.